Hi, this is Paula Gloria, and this show is called Farther Down the Rabbit Hole, and we're coming to you from RabbitHoleCentral here in Gramercy Park. That's Molly Cheshire with me, and she's in a position to listen to Reading the Vedas in a way that's comfortable. And we're going to be having a discussion with my friend in Austria. Hi, Imke.
Hi, Paula. Hi, Molly.
Hi, Imke.
Okay, so the reason I kind of interrupted your discussion with Molly is I could see from Molly's side that there was a lot of very important things being said about mantras. And so I wanted to capture your comments because Imke and I spent almost 4 years, at least for me, at an ashram where we did a lot of mantra processes. And Molly initially came with me to this ashram in Christmas '99.
Wait. I initially came. I dragged you there.
Yeah. Right.
Paul, kicking and screaming, and Paula, you were the one that took the bait, and I spit the hook. You know.
Can you hear that, Imke?
Sure.
Okay. So you were talking about a mantra that's good for depression, right?
Soul depression, actually.
It's what?
Actually, soul depression.
Oh,
soul depression.
Soul depression. Can you explain that?
Well, it's for me it's close to heartbreak. It's on a soul level, and so you can't reach that easily. To work with that, you know, to do anything against it. The soul level is the tough one to work on. All the psychologists, they work on they don't work on the soul level.
Did you know that Sigmund Freud was mistranslated? There's a word in German, I wish I knew the word since you speak German, for soul, and there's a separate word for mind. But when they translated him into English, they used Freud's word for soul, and they replaced it with mind. And in this way they took everything under a medical rubric, and eventually people doing his practice of psychoanalysis were doctors, whereas Sigmund Freud had actually hoped that people in the humanities, he thought they would become better analysts, not necessarily doctors. So psychoanalysis originally was supposed to be connecting people to their soul.
Yeah. And that's a great thing to do. That gives the whole thing a completely different sense. What you just described about Freud.
Right. Now, what was your experience? Because you've had experience with psychoanalysis. When you say the psychological level, when you say that, most people. Well, let me ask Molly. Molly, what do you think when you hear the psychological work?
Psychological or psychoanalyst?
Psychological. No, not psychoanalytical.
Well, I mean, for me, I find that I think the humanity or the mainstream has such a hard time with the idea of mental disease. It always seems slightly incurable, or that it's somehow a defect, and that you can't really deal with it. You know, it's so much easier to heal the physical body, and so much more ephemeral or difficult to even grasp the concept that you can heal the mind or the soul or you know, whatever you want to call it. So, you know, I have a certain amount of experience with it, and I know that you can. And
talk about your experience and how old you were, and did you have any psychological intervention?
Well, that was the crazy thing is that, I mean, I had a nervous breakdown at 18, and I knew that I didn't want to tell anyone because I didn't want to lose my freedom. And I didn't want to, you know, have somebody else, especially because since I was a minor, you know, I mean, I wasn't actually 18, I was 17, and I was at boarding school, and all of a sudden I realized that if I told anyone what was really going on, that my life wouldn't be my own. So I just kind of gutted it out and self-healed. You know, because I had to, because I really had no choice. And so
when you say you self-healed, do you think that if you had revealed your situation to the powers that be or the authorities, that they wouldn't help you? That they wouldn't understand? That it would be futile? That you could self-heal better?
I didn't trust them.
You didn't trust him.
It wasn't that I didn't think that. Well, and also my experience after that was with some therapists that I didn't really see much value in it. You know, I didn't connect with them, or you know, maybe it was a chemistry thing, or I've never found a therapist, actually apart from Jane, who I really thought was going to be effective for me. You know, not that.
It's not that you had anything against them, you just didn't think it would work.
Nothing that I ever really learned in therapy, not that I really pursued it, that, you know, I didn't have the money to pursue it that intensely. I didn't think there was that much value in it. It didn't really seem to, it just seemed that these states would kind of come and go, and that eventually it would just work itself out naturally.
Say, Imka, we have in our therapy group, you know, the one that I'm producing for, one of these guys named Walter, and he talks about the importance of expressing his emotions, and sometimes he gets very loud and he scares a couple of the other women. But he was saying that he seemed to imply that depression could have on the other side of it almost a religious experience or euphoria. And so I guess he felt that by venting out, maybe I'm sure I am misquoting him, but since he's not here, that's the best I can do. Do you have any comments, Imka? Because we were at an ashram where we saw just exalted experiences of spiritual manifestation, miracles, and so on. What's your comment about what we've said so far? Because you were saying to heal the soul. Most people just don't have any idea what a soul is.
Yeah, well, what is a soul? That can be a whole lot of discussion. To me, it's a light. And the main part of the soul is living in the womb chakra.
Is what?
Living in the womb chakra.
Well, now that's even more confusing. What does that mean, living in the womb chakra?
Like, the soul has a part, an anchor part, or an anchor point in the body.
Uh-huh.
And that would be the womb chakra. And men don't have to be sad about not having the womb chakra. They have it on a soul level.
Whoa.
They have it what?
They have a womb chakra on the soul level.
Oh, okay.
And it's the most important part in a spiritual journey to really purify your womb chakra. You cannot do any miracles or any supernatural healings without your womb chakra being very strong.
How do you purify your womb chakra?
There's a whole process called womb chakra process, which includes, I think, 40 mantras, and we charge them for 101 days.
Wow.
Did you do that process, Imka?
Yeah, I did it.
You know,
well, wait, just a second. And what benefits did you...
Molly's getting interested in mantras.
No, I'm always interested in people that do spiritual practice to see if it...
To see if
there's any results. Or what the experience is.
Oh, hang on just a second. Imka, before you answer that, and I definitely want you to answer that, before I got the cameras on, you and Molly were having a discussion about mantras, and I'd like Molly to repeat what she said about mantras, and particularly about joy.
I can't remember.
Well,
what did I say?
Start all over again, say.
Well, I mean, I know what I was saying. The reason why I feel like it's difficult for me to do mantras is that Swami had always said that you have to do it with an open heart, and if I don't really understand what I'm saying, or I can't maintain it, it's just very difficult for me to get the full potential out of doing mantras. I mean, it's not that I haven't done them, it's just that it's hard for me to sustain, you know, a mantra when there's no joy in it for me. And so it's not a spiritual practice that I will do on a daily basis because it's just drudgery.
You know, Imka, you weren't there when Molly and I were at the ashram the first time in Christmas '99 when he did that incredible miracle of the cross bleeding. But
I was there.
Oh, you were there at that one? Oh, okay. Well, what our observation was, because we were just sort of like spiritual tourists at that time. I mean spiritual tourists in that I just wanted to sort of check out a sort of fresh, new, young Swami, and I was on my way to Amaji's ashram in Kerala. And, you know, he sort of hooked us, actually, to stay longer. And our observation was that the people doing the mantras, I'm just saying, at that time, obviously I spent more time later after Molly left and things changed for me. But our observation is sort of being cheerful and happy and, you know, I don't think it's that we were superficial. It's just our objective was to follow up on what this young Swami said that we should take a look at. So our observation was people doing mantras with their malas all seemed very unhappy. That's the point.
Okay.
They had these sort of like sorrowful expressions, and the only time that they were happy was when Swami was in the room. And it's like we would all sit around waiting for Swami to do discourse, and everyone was supposed to be sort of doing kirtan to build up the energy, and it all sounded like they were at a funeral. And then finally Swami would come, and he wouldn't be very happy because
there was a funeral.
They hadn't really built up the energy because there was no joy in their hearts, because all they wanted to do is to, you know, suck off Swami, you know. And so, you know, like for example, when I went to Amachi, the kirtan was so joyful because it was happening while she was there. I don't know, it's just a different vibe. And so,
trust me, if you went to her ashram, you'd see the tough stuff too.
Oh, I'm sure. I don't. I'm just saying that it was. I was thinking to myself, this is the kind of kirtan that Swami was kind of looking for to build up the vibe, and you know, it was to me sort of hilarious because it was sort of sad.
But I think, Imka, in all fairness, Molly and I just sort of stumbled on Swami, and probably all of the Germans that you were there with, and maybe there were other Americans, they probably had previously had that joyful experience at another time, maybe when Swami came to Germany or whatever.
Right.
I mean, what's your comment about that? Do you remember the course, Christmas '99?
Absolutely. Most of the participants were Germans, so there is no wonder there wasn't joy around, you know. Germans are mostly heading towards achievement, and they for sure were like in the mood of how can I do most mantras, or how can I do the mantras in the best way, or how can I have the closest sitting position to Swami, and such stuff going on.
Yeah, but so, even the Americans like Cindy and who else was
name names. We're going to put this up on YouTube. Come on, spit it out, Molly. Ashram Inc. is going to be down on us.
I'm just saying that they
Shirdi
just
Baba, bless us, bless us, bless us.
That there was a whole group of Americans that were pretty. I don't know. You know, they took themselves very seriously. Let's just say.
Well,
that.
look I'm not meaning to do any kind of gossip or say Germans are overachievers or whatever. I'm just saying in general, I want to pay attention to what Molly's saying about mantras, and I really, really trust you, Imka, because I must say we spent many, many, many deep hours at the ashrams with discussions, and I respect your opinion. So,
you don't want to point the camera at yourself?
Because I'm finished now.
Oh.
Any comment?
So, relating to Molly's comment before, I wouldn't say I'm in a position to judge whether my heart is open enough or not to chant mantra. I just saw good symptoms in other people, so I just started doing it. And I'm a person, I have always been a person who has a really hard time sitting still and just focusing on one thing. And it was one of the toughest jobs I ever had to do so far, to chant 1 million mantras, you know, like he made us do it for 3 months. And there was no joy at all for me for a long time.
Well, like for example, for me, when I do the mantras is, you know, when I can't sleep at night. And then I can really get the energy pumping, because if I can't sleep, it means that I've got a lot of energy running. And so my attitude is that, okay, if I can't sleep, I might as well put this energy to some good use. But I don't actually want to get out of bed and get active, but I can take that mind and just focus on the mantras. But then it kind of scared me, because one time I was doing the Gayatri mantra really heavy, and then I went to sleep. And
I don't think it was heavy. I think you were innocent. It was the first time you tried it. Right?
No. This was not at the ashram. This was at home in bed. And I had
no, but I bet it's the first time you tried it in bed.
No, it wasn't the first time. But
oh, okay.
Anyway, all I'm saying is that I think I conjured a demon, because I was having a dream, and this really intense negative energy came up in my dream to the point where it woke me up at around like 3 o'clock in the morning when it was pitch dark. And I was so scared that I couldn't go to sleep until the sun came up. And I think that, I don't know why it happened, but one theory is that I raised the positivity so much that I attracted something out there in the ethereal world that sort of came through when I was in, when I was asleep and sort of in the astral world.
You know what? For what reason Gayatri was found?
Yeah, she likes Vishwamitra. Can you talk about?
I love Vishwamitra.
Can you talk about that?
The guy found this mantra after he had lasted 999 years meditation process because of sexual energy. So he kind of created this Gayatri to protect himself and others from sexual temptation. So that might be as well. That might be another thing to agree with her. I never would do the Gayatri laying in bed. Choose the sky. The sky will make you fall asleep.
Well, it was the only one I could remember. I mean. See,
I thought it was a pretty benign mantra. I thought it was pretty cookie cutter.
Well, I mean, I studied a book. There's a book on the Gayatri mantra that it's all about light. It's basically you're calling in the light, and as I said, it was the only one I could remember because it was a prerequisite to doing the Christmas program, that we were supposed to do it like an hour a day before we showed up. Well, it took me until I got to the ashram, or even just as I was leaving, that I could memorize the whole thing. So it's one of the few that actually stuck. So that's and it's complicated enough that it gives my conscious mind something to chew on, whereas something kind of simple, is too simple so that I can bifurcate my consciousness. Like I can be doing the mantra in one part of my brain and then be thinking about something else in the other part of my brain, so that I need something a little bit complicated to engage my mind so I can stay focused on the mantra.
Sure, got you. Go about sky mantra next time.
All right, but then I heard that you're not supposed to do the sky mantra until after you've already done all of the other elements.
That's nonsense.
Really?
Yeah, that's absolutely nonsense. I heard Swami gives the sky mantra as the only mantra out of the 5 element mantras without having any other mantra choice.
Really?
You can do the sky mantra whenever, wherever, how many times you want. No problem.
Oh, what did you hear about this?
Okay, I'm going to just pause for the sake of my viewers here. What they're talking about is the elements, the 5 elements: earth, air, fire, and water. And each one of these elements has a mantra associated with it, so that when you purify a mantra, what that is your... Would you say, Imka, you're bringing it into your awareness, so you have an awareness of the earth, an awareness of the water, and you feel that quality of how creation comes about?
No, but I thought that you were purifying your channel with each element.
Yeah,
that's exactly what it is.
But isn't it ultimately so that having purified channels to that element, when you want to create something in creation, you'll have access, and you have specificity.
Right.
You can be specific that now I need more of the quality of air, more water, earth. Or how do you see it, Imka? Because miracles are ultimately about manifestation.
Yeah, but the first 5 element mantras are about the element qualities within you. With the inner elements, you start. No, I'm exactly the other way around. Can you repeat your question, please?
Oh, well, okay. You're saying the elements within you, but ultimately isn't the difference between you and the other and the earth and the universe all the same? Isn't that why if you purify yourself, you're purifying everything?
In a way, I would say yes. Yeah.
So that like when we read the Vedas every day, it's just like opening. To me, it's very interesting. It's a little bit unusual. So it's not so much of a cliche as oftentimes if you go into a regular Christian church, you kind of don't hear it anymore because it's sort of.
Well, they're so repetitive. You know, the literature in the church is all this dogmatic stuff that they think by repeating it every week that somehow you're going to...
This will be the week that you get it.
Well, yeah, but I find the problem is that you get kind of numb to it.
That's the word, numb.
Because you've heard it so many times that it loses its power. And frankly, you know, I go to church for the music because I find there's a lot of Shakti and purity in the music that even if the words are kind of wacky, that somehow the energy comes through, that Christ consciousness. And then if there's a good minister, the sermon is always interesting to me, to have somebody who's really focusing, you know, on that energy and hopefully giving you a great example of it. But yeah, I have issues with church.
Can I just do an aside here? There was a Reverend Winnie at the St. Mark's Church, and she felt that when people go because the sermon is really good, that's not quite it either, that a devout pastor wants people to make the connection beyond their intellectual ability to hook them. So that, I don't know. Do you know what I'm saying?
I guess.
At first I was surprised because I said that, you know, I liked her sermons better than others, and that wasn't good enough. What do you think, Imka, about the Christian church and mantras? Because you're never going to hear about purifying the elements in the Christian church, although what Jesus did was ultimately all about mastery of the elements.
Well, and
right?
he used the elements and water and earth.
Well, Hallelujah is a mantra, and we have many, especially old women, going to church and doing the rosary.
Yeah.
The rosary is nothing else but doing mantras. They're just not in Sanskrit or Telugu, they're in German. So actually the rosary came out of the Indian mala. A rosary is 54 beads, and the Indian mala has 108. So there's a clear connection there. And just they don't use Sanskrit mantras. They don't care. They use other mantras and repeat them for hours.
Well, now, Imka, what about the number 54 and 108? Are we talking now about numerology, the numbers?
I'm just mentioning that there is a connection. The rosary, the Christian church uses, is half an Indian mala.
Right.
And 108 is a holy number. If you just add 1, 0, and 8, you get 9. And 9 is the divine number. 3.
Right.
3.
Anyway, we've come to the end of our show. It's been so nice to have this. Any last thoughts before Molly?
Well, if you can, I mean, I'll try the sky mantra, you know, because as I said, when I'm really effective with the mantras is when I can't sleep at night, and I can get that energy rolling and focus it on something. But I don't know if Swami would approve. You know,
I think he'd approve just by
But I mean,
he likes a scientist. Just be a scientist. See how it works.
I mean, the reason why I don't sort of do all of his processes or say that I'll do them is because I out of respect for him and the whole process of doing mantras, if I know I'm not going to do them, you know, I don't want people to give me the honor of having the process, because it's not fair to them, and it's not fair to me to feel guilty that I'm not doing a process that I don't really want to. You know.
What do you think?
Don't feel guilty. And on the sky mantra, so you have my word. You can do it as much as you want. So you don't have to have initiated or judged any of the elements mantras.
All right. Well, I thank you for your absolution.
Well, that's great.
I wasn't really talking about you. I was sort of talking about Philip. He's sort of always trying to give me, you know, special secret processes, and I'm like, don't waste them on me. You know, because I can't guarantee that I'll do them, you know, and so find some student who's really eager.
But I must say, I approached Philip once as a scientist to help somebody out who was having trouble, and he gave me a mantra, which was the last thing I expected to get, and I passed it on, and it was very profound. It was.
Yeah, but you guys did the mantras.
It kind of opened my eyes, even after saying a million mantras, about what a mantra could do. So, anyway.
Yeah, well, Molly, can you make Philip give me the mantra I've been asking him for?
Can I what? What?
Can you make Philip give me the mantra I have been asking him for?
I wish I could. I think that he wants to you know, kind of butter me up by giving me these special mantras, you know. So I wish I could influence him in such a way, but I'll ask him for you.
You know, together.
I would love to come to New York and visit the room chakra. That would be such an amazing process. I got the new book from Panaconda yesterday, and really? I already read 100 pages, and it's interesting. It's a lot about the room chakra.
Wow. Okay. Well, God bless you, Imke.
Sure.
Take care. Bye. Tschüss. Ladies and gentlemen, it turns out Imke met Molly in Panaconda and remembers that she was singing. Do you remember the song?
Well, I mean, I only sang a couple of songs. I sang Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend before Swami, and everybody was horrified. And then I sang Elvis, which was Love Me Tender, which of course was Swami interjected in there instead of, I can't remember how it worked, but I sort of made it all about Swami. And then, what was the other song by Elvis?
She sang
Wise Men Say. Only, you know.
You know why she was singing Elvis Presley, Imke? Because Elvis Presley has the same birthday as Swami.
No, but that's not why I was singing. I didn't know that Elvis had the same birthday until much, much later.
Okay.
That's what was...
But anyway, what was your experience listening?
That was one of the most touching presentations in front of Swami I ever heard, and I have been hearing so far.
Wow!
Because it came from your heart, Molly, and you didn't care about all those holy guys around.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
It did come from my heart, and you know, that's where I have the most fun. Actually, is when I can sing from my soul, you know. And it's hard when I feel the negative energy, you know, but I was so into it at that point, I just didn't care.
Mm-hmm. I started an education for singing, and they made me sing in front of an audience without being allowed to use words and without being allowed to use any notes. It just had to come out of my heart. And I did that for like maybe 3-4 minutes. And people came up to me and they said they never can relax. And it was their first time to be able to relax when I sang. So that was a really deep experience, how you can meet people when you sing out from your heart.